Hey Blades fans, welcome back to Hertz Arena for another Florida Everblades pregame show. We're here for round 2, game 3 of playoffs alongside Jake Maurice. I'm Allie Vellucci. Jake, coming out of Jacksonville, back to Hertz Arena, up 2-0 in the series. What does that do for the motivation, confidence, all of it all together, walking out of there up 2 games?
I mean, it's a perfect start,
Yeah.
right? It's what you go in absolutely dreaming of, especially the way they played, being strong in both games. Jacksonville, especially with their pushback in game 2, the Blades still handled it well and got that 4-3 win. Now you have a chance to wrap things up at home. You don't have to potentially go back to Jacksonville, deal with the wear and tear on the body. It's especially important going into the next round because right now, if you look at the North Division Finals, Newfoundland's up 3-0 on Reading, going back to Newfoundland. So it's hard to envision that series going too much longer. You don't want to have spent too much more time than your potential opponent in the next round being in a playoff fight, and you don't want to give Jacksonville any life going back to Jacksonville because this is still a very dangerous team the Everblades are fighting tonight. But yeah, having that 2-0 series lead after going 2 games in Jacksonville, that felt really good.
We're trying to limit the travel around here, not going too crazy. Sunday's game, back and forth all game long, very close overall, which we kind of expected from the series in general. 4-3 win. Joe Pendenza, 1 goal, 1 assist. Sean Jostling also with 1 goal, 1 assist. They've been consistent all playoffs long, but what have you seen from them recently that is kind of setting them apart and putting them in those positions to get those kinds of numbers?
It's their ability to see the ice. They both recognize, they have that sixth sense almost where players, they can see what's going to happen just that second before it happens. For Jostling, for his goal on Sunday, it allows him to find open spaces. If Jacksonville players are making a change, he has the room to walk it into the zone, tee up a perfect slap shot. And just like he has all throughout the playoffs, he puts it in the perfect spot. Pendenza, he recognizes the quick breakdown, gets himself towards the front of the net, gets the second opportunity, 5-hole for the late game winner for the Blades. And in that game, you mentioned it as well, back and forth, but Florida never let Jacksonville get out front. And a big part of that was Jacksonville, 3 times they tied the game after the Blades had taken the lead.
Right.
You know, their crowd's roaring, they're feeling good about themselves, but every time that happened, Florida didn't panic. They took a couple shifts to kind of settle themselves down again, get the game back to even, and then they just got back to work. And eventually, every time, scored to go back up front, and eventually Pendenza's was the game winner.
A lot of players on the score sheet on Sunday for the Blades. Something that we have seen recently that we haven't seen during the regular season, more consistency on lines, not as many lineup changes. You know, the roster is set in stone coming into playoffs, so there's a limited options there. But what line to you has been setting themselves apart and putting themselves in positions, kind of making themselves kind of the starters in your eyes?
Sort of that second line of John McCarron with Oliver Chow on his left side and Blake Winicky on the right. And they all 3 bring a different style of game. Oliver Chow, very shifty on the boards, great vision, good hands. John McCarron, prototypical power forward, right? You send him into the corner. No one wants to go up against him on the boards with that big frame. And then Blake Winicky, he's got a lot of skill, pretty good distributor of the puck, and also very smart with where he positions himself to get opportunities. They're just a line, they all complement each other very well. Every game, it seems they find a way to contribute in some meaningful way. Back in game 1, the 3 of them combined for 7 points were certainly the Blades' best line in that 5-2 win. So I think it's just a matter of, once we're in the playoffs, as you mentioned, limited line combinations. When you find something that works, you want to stick with it. And the Blades have certainly found something that works with that second line.
More special teams talk. PK killing it this weekend, 6 for 6. Power play still struggling a little bit, 1 for 6 on the weekend. What adjustments do you expect to see on the power play man advantage unit?
Well, yeah, PK was perfect. Don't really think you need to do anything with that apart from get ready for tonight because Jacksonville still does have deadly weapons on their power play. In terms of the Everblades power play, I would say that you need to get more setup like the one that worked, just 11 seconds, into the power play in game 2. 23 seconds into the game, you set up Jostling in the left circle for the perfect one-timer, and he just hammers it home easy like that. So you get those kind of setups where you can get the quick shots towards the net. Even if they don't go in, you can generate a rebound opportunity. Usually those kind of shots, if they miss the net, they're going over to the wall. And on the power play, the Blades control the wall, so they don't really need to worry about it getting out of the zone. You can just reset, so getting more opportunities like that. I would say the power play, it was good, especially in game 2. They had, obviously, the goal. And then the other power play they did have some opportunities with it, just couldn't bury any of them. I think it's just a matter of maybe looking back at the video from the South Carolina series, seeing what worked there, and then comparing that to how Jacksonville likes to kill penalties, because they're pretty strong in their PK as well. You look at those 2 things, and then you figure out, okay, what worked against South Carolina that we can make work here? What didn't? What do we have to adjust? Because right now the Blades, getting that 1 power play goal is good. You don't have a goose egg on the board on the power play like Jacksonville does right now.
Correct.
So you want to keep that. So you want to keep that going and to build on the power play success at home. another factor is you got the home crowd cheering you on, and that's certainly going to help.
More pregame show. Magic, I might go another safe option. Not really. He's been consistent since he's been here. Logan Lambden assist on Sunday night. I think he's going to come out strong. High energy this morning at morning skate, as we've seen. Boys are buzzing, and I think they're happy to be back and not be in Jacksonville. So I'm going to go him.
And he's one of a number of Blades players that currently has a point per game. I'm going to go with Oliver Chow. Since he came back to the lineup in Game 4, he really added a different element to the Blades game, and he's fit in so well on that McCara and Chow Winicky line that we talked about earlier. I think it just makes sense to go with him. He's sort of the most creative player on that line, maybe even the whole team. So I want to see that work here tonight.
Right. Big Game 3 tonight. Chance to go up 3-0. 3 keys to the game. What do you got?
Use the crowd energy. You're back at home. You're up 2-0. Crowd is going to be energetic tonight, so you got to use that to your advantage. Jacksonville, we saw they tried to in their 2 games, had more success with it in Game 2, just couldn't quite make it work for themselves. Secondly is going to be getting guys to the front of the net. A number of the Everblades goals in this series have been rebound tallies where they get guys out front. They can't get home the first opportunity. They get home the second. And also, as a side note for tonight's game, it's going to be very interesting to see what Jacksonville does with their goaltending situation. They have 3 goaltenders, including our old friend Parker Hagen, who played games in their playoff run. So it's going to be very interesting to see who they want to go with down 2-0 in the series for themselves. And then I would say finally is you always want to control the neutral zone. You want to make sure that Jacksonville can't have the option to come up the ice with speed, any space. Florida, we saw in Game 1, they used space to their advantage when they got it. Blake Winicky scored on a breakaway in Game 2. Even though he didn't score, Joe Pendenza was able to get free for a shorthanded break. You can't let Jacksonville's guys do anything like that. Control the neutral zone, force them to slow down, dump it in, whatever, and you're going to be in a pretty good spot in this game.
All right, Blades fans, get loud for Game 3. This is going to be a fun one. Warm-ups and puck drop are up next.